A very good morning to one and all. I hope you all are keeping well. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our honorable chief guest, Dr. Vivek Modi, who is a wellness educator and a professional speaker. We are thrilled to have you in midst of us, sir. Sir is a certified trainer from a renowned college and also a sports enthusiast. And today, that is January 12th, marks the birth anniversary of the great monk Swami Vivekananda, which is celebrated as National Youth Day. And on this account, we have organized this event to motivate the youth of this generation. We hope by this session, the students get very informative session, and they seek a little guidance from Sir. I now request Sir to address the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the welcome address. I just want a confirmation if my voice is clear. Ma'am, could you please confirm? Any one person?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
It's clear? Okay, fine. So, namaskar to all the students. We have about 45 minutes left, and I would like to talk in regard to the topic opportunities and challenges for the youth in current times, in current trends. Yes. Just a note of confirmation. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So in today's session, we'll be discussing primarily the four things. The current times. So I'll make few comments about what are the times, current times, what are these times known for? We are all living in extraordinary times. We know that amidst COVID problem, it has shaken the world. It's called the Black Swan event. Never before such challenge humanity faced. So we have this challenge to deal with, and we are going to uh, have a brief word about that. What are these times called? The second thing I want all of youth to see is understand what are the current challenges of youth, because challenges of current youth are in fact pretty different from the challenges of youth in past. We are living in a completely different world. From 20 years 30 years ago, the world was quite a different place, and today it's quite a different place. So obviously the challenges have also changed. The opportunities, there have never been the opportunities what we have in today's world. The resources available to a common man are phenomenally great in comparison to what we had earlier 20-30 years back. And at the end, what is one message of Swami Vivekananda which can help all of us to drive through these challenges? So let's understand first, what is the current world called? Current world is called VUCA world. VUCA is a word used by US Defense Forces in 90s earlier, because we know all the Marines, commandos, they work in a very, very uncertain environment. And that's why they use this term called VUCA world. And VUCA means volatile, means the world which is changing so fast. You know how things change in today's world. Volatile is often a word used in terms of share market. And we know how share market is behaving. So uncertain is there is no certain outcome. We don't know vaccine would work, vaccine would not work. We don't know will there be a third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave. We do not know there may be more mutations or not. There are so many uncertainties. Complex means when there are so many variables. So something happens in US elections, the world is shaken. Something else happens in Middle East, the world is shaken. At every place, there are so many factors which can change the scenario of the world. So it becomes a very complex world to comprehend. And fourth, ambiguous means this also can happen, that also can happen. Ambiguous means when there are so many outcomes are possible. So this world becomes a bit difficult to navigate. I teach this VUCA world, leadership in VUCA world, and it's a pretty interesting proposition. At one side, it creates challenges for all the people. Mind you, one person may be in top 100, one company may be in the top 100 or top 500 companies in the world, but it's very much possible that in the next couple of years, that company may be simply out of the list of even top 1,000 companies, top 2,000 companies. And at the same time, another company or another person who is at the bottom can raise to height very fast. In today's world, this is possible. So this is a challenge as well as opportunity. Now, before I proceed further, I would like to actually have a look at the people. So I will, in between, I'll keep stopping my presentation and keep coming to people so that I can just see. Just a minute. How do I stop it? Yeah. Okay. Request some of the students for whom it is possible, please, if feasible, you can switch on your cameras. It gives me a feedback. Yes, it gives me a feedback of talking to people, not just pictures and letters. So whoever can kindly switch on the camera. It will give me a feeling of classroom. Yes, I'm a professional speaker, a trainer, and I'm used to speak to people, not much with the screen. Although in last 8 months we have learned that too. So yes, I'm still waiting. Some more videos if you can on. Thank you, thank you. I can see now few. Yes, there are a couple. Good, good. So before I go to challenges, let me tell you an interesting incident. Okay, so there was a very young child, came from a lower middle income background. This is a story of America, a real story. Okay, long back. And this child was actually a malnourished child. He had very lean legs. His friends told him or called him by the name of pencil pens. You know, there's such a pencil-like legs he had. But he was an extremely passionate football lover, American football lover, not the football what we play. So, and he had his favorite person, favorite player called Mr. Brown. So one fine day, he gets a chance to see Mr. Brown. After a match, probably Mr. Brown was talking to press and few other people. All fans were around him. He was giving autographs. And this young little child, very weak, very lean, somehow sneaks into the ground, into this crowd, and goes near Mr. Brown and taps over his thighs and says, "Sir, I am your biggest fan." Mr. Brown looks down, and after looking down, feels happy and says, thank you, my friend. Thank you for being such a good friend." Again, Mr. Brown gets busy talking with other people, giving his autographs. Again, this child taps on the thigh of Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown looks again and says, "Tell me, friend." He says, "Sir, I remember all your records." Mr. Brown says, "Thank you so much." He feels so happy that he has such a good fan following. He says, "Thank you, dear friend. Thank you so much." And he again gets busy. Now, third time, this person again taps the thigh of Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown looks down, and this time a little bit irritated. That now what, my friend? Now what, my young friend? And this boy, to the surprise of Mr. Brown, says, "Sir, one day I will break all your records." And Mr. Brown was taken aback. Look at this child, such a weak looking child, not even having good clothes to wear, but look at his confidence. He is able to tell me that I will break all your records. And true to his words, this man went on to become the O.J. Simpson, who actually broke all the records of Mr. Brown. Now, O.J. Simpson's other story may not be very noteworthy, but we are looking at what was in this child which made him do what he do. There was nothing in him which suggested that this boy could really break the record of somebody like Mr. Brown. No money, no background, no support, not even a physical body. But yet there was a thought, and that thought made him believe that he could do it, and he did it. Now, friends, I'm not giving you a motivation jargon, but I want your attention, full flesh attention for next 30 minutes, 40 minutes to understand these basic ideas. And if you get these, I can assure within few years, when you are able to complete your graduation, and probably some of you will get into the world for taking up your careers, these things, these thoughts, these philosophies, and these ideas will come extremely handy to you. How do I know this? Because I have been into this and I have been talking to youth, and I know how it can change people. So I seek your 100% attention with this. Let me start sharing once again. and move on to the next slide. So let's understand the challenges. We have the following challenges. Number one, fear-driven thinking. This is one of the biggest challenge of the youth today. Now you may think, no, sir, I'm not fearful. I'm not fearful. I'm very fearless. I'm very bold, sir. I'll explain you why it is. Before I explain the fear-driven thinking, let's understand the other two. Stimulus-driven life. There are two ways our mind can work. There are two ways human mind can comprehend. Okay, stimulus-driven and self-driven. Stimulus-driven is what? When the external world and the stimulus outside the world drives me. I remember. Okay, I'll tell you that incident after I complete this slide and again go back to seeing you. Yes, loss of Atma Shraddha. Atma Shraddha, loosely you can call it self-confidence, but it is much deeper than that. So something within you should believe that I'm capable of that. I see there is a loss, there is erosion of that Atma Shraddha, a lot of youth. Okay, and the reason is first two reasons: fear-driven thinking, stimulus-driven life, and loss of Atma Shraddha. Let me first tell you why we are fear-driven. Okay, all of you should remember these three things. Okay, I'll ask you because I'm stopping presentation and I may forget. I'm not very good in remembering things, so I'll ask. And again, I expect all of you to keep your cameras on. At least all of you who can do it. Yes, I still don't see many cameras on. As soon as I go on sharing, cameras are off. Please come on, switch on the cameras. Thank you so much. So, what was the first thing? Fear-driven life. Why it is fear-driven life? You know, in before independence, our ancestor, our one or two generations before us, our grandfathers and maybe great grandfathers, they lived a life where life was really challenging. We were not a free country. The average age of an Indian in 1930s or 40s used to be less than 30 years. Can you believe? And just to get two score meal used to be a challenge. So for most of the families, it was like making two ends meet, somehow raising the kids. If you had four kids, only two actually grew to the adult life. Most of the kids even died. At least half of the kids died. That was the death rate. And getting two-time food, getting some kind of job or some kind of work which will bring enough money to at least survive, that was the life of so many people, majority of the people. And when your life is being driven by survival instinct, not thrival instinct, survival means ability to exist. Somehow I manage to be. Okay, forget about pleasure, forget about goals, forget about ambitions, forget about doing something great, forget about contributing. If I just manage to live, that is called survival instinct. And with the survival instinct, our people live those days. And what happens when you are driven with fear? There is trust deficit. You do not trust others as well as you do not trust your own abilities because surrounding you, the environment is quite fearful. And because of that, our people lived in that environment and it was passed on to the next generation same way. That beta, don't trust people easily. Beta, look for jobs. Beta, don't try to do big things. These were the subtle messages given to their children, and their children unknowingly passed it on to many of us. So if I go to many colleges today and I ask the youth, what is your goal? You know, two most common answers. Can anyone tell me what could be the two most common answers? Come on, I want to listen some voices. Yes, anyone? Simply unmute and speak. What, according to you, what could be the two most commonest answers when you ask someone, the youth of a college, people like you? If I ask you, what's your goal? What's your career goal? What will you say? Come on, someone unmute and speak. I don't want to be the lone speaker here.
For the common answers would be like we want to get a campus placement. The first common answer would be this, a campus placement.
We want to, yes. Okay. Can you please name yourself?
Uh,
Because I'm not able to see all the names. Yeah.
Zafra, sir.
Pardon?
Zafra.
Zafra. Okay,
Yes, sir.
hopefully I'm pronouncing it rightly. So good
Yes,
answer,
sir.
Zafra, and it's a correct answer. Now all of you can again mute yourself till I ask my next question. Okay, so Zafra says that campus placement, and you are right actually. Most common answer is, sir, I want a job in a multinational company. Or if you go to little more conservative side, or little colleges, little more small town size, the most common answer is, I want a government job. So the answer, the common thing in the answer is, I want a job. Now there is nothing wrong in job. Okay, I have nothing against job. I was in a job for 6 years. I had my corporate life for 6 years. But I want to understand this, that why a 20, 30 or 20 to 25 year young youth thinks of job. You know what this answer reeks of? This answer reeks of, I want security. This answer is suggestive of, I want guarantee. I understand if a 40, 45-year-old person is thinking so, but a 20-year young boy or girl thinks of security first and not taking a calculated risk. Thinks of taking the time-tested path only and not trying new avenues. I experienced this when I resigned my job as a COO to become a full-time wellness educator and professional speaker. So many people told, "Arey Vivek, you are a doctor, you have done your MBBS. Why do you want to be an educator now?" People feel a graduation means a liability, means I can do only this thing and I cannot do many other things. I reflect that. So this is the sign of fear-based thinking. Think about all of you. How many of you have taken decisions where the outcome was a bit uncertain? How many of you have experienced failures in last 3 months? Most people, some of you might be taking calculated risk, but most people fail to do so. So that is the first challenge in front of our youth. You have to shake off that. You have to realize we are well past our independence now, more than 70 years. We are independent, and this is a different India, full of opportunities, full of so many options, and people who are realizing it, they are reaping the benefit. You know, while in this pandemic, so many people have lost their businesses, but there are many people who have found their new way. The difference was, some of them were fear driven and some of them were able to overcome their fear driven thinking. Fear kills all possibilities in a person. Fear will never let you realize your true potential. Second thing, stimulus driven thinking. I told. Second challenge is stimulus driven thinking. What is stimulus driven thinking? I'll share an incident from my life. After completing my MBBS, we have joined a corporate hospital as a medical officer, and we were planning a business along with my other doctor friends. So we were traveling somewhere in the car. I was sitting in the rear seat, and one of my friends was driving, and there was another friend who was back from US, and we were talking about a medical tourism business. We thought, you see, a surgery like bypass surgery cost here in India somewhere about 3 to 4 lakh, but in America and UK and many other countries, it costs more than 50 to 60 lakh in Indian rupees. At some places, even higher than this. So why can't we have this medical tourism business? It was already going on. So we were discussing that. And while discussing that, we were very much enthusiastic, positive, feeling happy, feeling hopeful. That was our emotion. So at Paradise Signal, if you know, Paradise Signal in Hyderabad, if you know, our car stopped and it is a long signal. So some beggar, one beggar came, a young beggar came, and he knocked the windshield and he asked my friend who was driving, "Saab, kuch de do, please give me something." A young boy who was begging. So my friend and we all were discussing. Car was, he just put his window down and he told, "Bhaiya, aage jao, please go ahead." Now this beggar was not an ordinary beggar. He was a bit different. So before going, he gave a stare and he looked at my friend who was driving. He looked at my friend and he told, "Tu to marega, you will die." He simply told that and walked off. Now, my friend was a bit short tempered. He couldn't take it. He told, "How dare this boy could say like this? First of all, shamelessly, he's begging. He's such a young boy. Why can't he work? Second thing, after begging, if he doesn't get money, he'll simply curse people, you die." He was literally fuming with anger. He wanted to get down and hit that beggar. Somehow we had to hold him. And after this incident, the beggar I saw was busy in his work. And we started discussing why begging was worst thing, why we should never give money to beggars, why, how it spoils our name. The American friend said, you see, this is the problem with India. See how good we are in highlighting a problem and bringing it at national level. So for a moment, I was thinking, we all are educated people, so-called doctors. We were discussing something very positive, very enthusiastic. We were feeling very happy. Here comes a beggar, makes for sake of his business, he tries something, he fails, he makes one comment, and he gets busy into his work. And we all doctors, instead of getting busy with our agenda, we all get driven away by one comment of that beggar, and not just lose our peace, not just lose our happiness, our enthusiasm, but get angry and discuss about problem of begging for next few minutes. Who is intelligent, that beggar or we so-called educated people? This is exactly the meaning of stimulus-driven people. This is the reason many of us change our goal every next day. Because when we do not have our own light, when we do not have our own original thinking, we look at the world around to seek gratification, to seek validation. So we are seeking validation. Whatever I am doing, what my friends are telling, are they liking that or not? What my cousins are telling, what XYZ is telling. We are more driven by what people talk about us than what we think of us. This is the second challenge of our youth. Too much stimulus driven. An advertisement, some cricket star, some movie star. I remember there was a fight between my juniors when I was in medical college, and when they came to the seniors for resolution of the fight, and it was a good fight with hockey stick and all. You know what was the reason of their fight? I'm so ashamed to say it, but this was the reason for which medical students were fighting, second year medical students. The reason was there was one group which felt offended because their hero Chiranjeevi was offended by the another group. Another group was claiming that it is these people who offended or who abused our hero Balakrishna. Balakrishna versus Chiranjeevi goods, they were having fight. I was thinking, my God, see, I didn't have this exposure. So I was really thinking, how come a medical student lose the track so much? Instead of thinking why my father is not happy with me, he's bothered about how dared this person abused my hero Balakrishna or Chiranjeevi. I just happened to tell them, see, Balakrishna, Chiranjeevi will never know you exist in the world, probably. And what are you spending your time with? And how does something change by somebody's comment? Being too much stimulus driven will take away your power. You will end up spending somebody's life. So that is the second challenge for our youth. And the third thing I told you, the result of first two will create loss of Atma Shraddha. I don't have something my own because I have lost the capacity to follow my own plans. I have lost the capacity to follow my own plans. What I tell you, you may not follow. What your teachers tell you, you may not follow. What your parents tell you, you may not follow. You think I'm an adult, I can think of my own, I can take my decisions. Good. But what if you take your decisions and you don't follow that? Do you imagine what kind of loss of face it will cause to you? What is the signal your subconscious mind is getting? Your subconscious mind is getting exactly this signal that don't take this man or this girl seriously. Because she says something, she does something else. And that's causing you loss of your faith in your own self. That's why you seek that motivational quote, that motivational video, not realizing that motivation is fine, but unless I create inspiration, unless I create faith in self, it's not going to work. So these were the three reasons. I hope you got it clearly. Is it clear? I want a confirmation. Come on. Come on. Somebody needs to confirm it. Yes? Yes, no, I couldn't hear. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Because see, I have a fear here that all of you are with me or not, because I cannot see every one of you. Yes?
So we are, sir.
Thank you. Yes. Now let's move to the opportunities. Okay. Opportunity number one, opportunity of becoming a solution provider. In today's world, I told you, it's a VUCA world, and we are in a country which is full of challenges. India is so diverse. India is so full of people. India is so much complex in a way that each area has its own issues. That India still has scope of having people who can solve this problem. And if we do not solve this problem, if we do not move from being a problem talker to solution seeker, we are missing the opportunity. I give you an example. Okay. I give an example of Chaya Thakur. Once again, I will stop sharing. I'll keep coming back. And I again seek from all of you to keep your cameras on. I see again the cameras are off. Keeps on going on. I'm not going to leave that easily. Please see that your cameras are on. I should feel I'm talking to some people, not to the pictures. Thank you. Thank you. And do not switch it off if possible. That's my request. Okay. So solution seeker. What is solution seeker? It's so easy to talk about problems, you know. You don't need to be a graduate to talk about what is the problem. Since I'm a doctor, let me give you this analogy. Go to a medical store and ask him, give me a thermometer, a simple mercury thermometer. Maybe within 25 to 30 rupees, you will get the thermometer. Maybe less than 50 rupees, you'll get a thermometer. Bring this thermometer, now put it in anyone's mouth, keep it for 2 minutes, you get the temperature. You can tell whether the person has a fever or not. You don't need to do an MBBS to tell what is the problem with this person, whether he has a fever or not. The point I want to drive is to talk about problem, there's no big deal. We need to understand this, that yes, there may be some genuine problems. Yes, there may be XYZ people responsible for creating a problem. It could be politicians, it could be bureaucracy, it could be XYZ. So many people have created or may not have done their own duties, and because of which we may be in the problem. But now that you are at the verge of completion of graduation, please realize it's a privilege to complete graduation. It's a privilege to complete graduation in this country, no matter where it is from, but it's a privilege. And second thing, once you have done it, now the finger comes to you. What have you done, Mr. or Miss? What have you done? What is your solution? Yes, there are problems, but what is your solution? No, sir, we are just in the world now. We're just coming out of our education. How can we give the solutions? No, my dear friends, there are enough people who have given us enough examples of finding solutions. One 8-year-old girl, or probably 8th class girl, Chaya Thakur, who was in a small town of Gandhinagar, Gujarat, she saw that in a school, when the kids were drinking water from a water tanky through the water taps like this, they use their hand and drink water from the water taps. I'm sure some of you might have experienced that. I did that when I was studying in my school. So there was this pipe, and there were so many water taps on this pipe, a horizontal pipe having water taps. What this young girl saw, that there are some young children who are not able to reach at the height of the water taps, and they are not able to drink water properly. Their height is so less, so water falls from top. When they drink, they get wet. Or some of their other young friends are holding them, and then they are reaching to the water tap to drink the water. Now, this girl could have very much become a problem talker. She could have told, you know, look at this school. They can't even provide simple drinking water facility to our young brothers and sisters. Nobody is working here. She could be a complainer, and she could have been genuine for that. But you know what did she do? She didn't use her mind in raising the complaint, but she used her mind before raising the complaint. She thought, can I do something in this regard? She used her mind and she did a simple thing. This water tap, this pipe, which was horizontal, she used some mind and she tilted it like this. Now the water pipe became oblique. This side of the water taps were at lower end. This side of the water taps at the higher end. Taller students could drink from here. Younger students could drink from here. The students with less height could drink from the other side. And the problem was solved. Now you may think, sir, this is very simple. No, this is not very simple, friends. This is the mentality we need to develop. Mentality of having this empathy, not just intellectual empathy, emotional empathy. Intellectual empathy is understanding someone's feeling just cognitively. Emotional empathy is feeling someone's pain, someone's problems. That is called, and that's what Chaya Thakur showed. You know what happens after that? Honeybee Network identifies this extraordinary work of Chaya Thakur. When they saw this tilted pipeline, they said, who have done it? And Chaya Thakur was recognized. Today, there is a patent in the name of that young girl, Chaya Thakur. And the patent is called Inclined Installations of Water Taps. Many schools there today, they install water taps like this. If there is a pipe system, they don't want to make more number of pipes and make it complicated. One pipe, make it tilted, and all the heights children can get. There is a patent, and our former president, late Shri Pranab Mukherjee, recognized the contribution of Chhaya Thakur. A young girl did it because she became solution seeker. Why can't we look around us and find out a list of problems and find out the competencies which matches with us and figure out a business proposition, a career opportunity in that? We have seen enough examples of that. Yes. Why don't we do that? Again, fear-based thinking. Again, that herd mentality, stimulus-driven. Everybody is doing so. Let me do that. Most youth today cannot even introduce themselves in a proper systematic way. If you ask them to give 3 introductions, all 3 are different and they are not sure about which one is the best. Most youth today, after completing their graduation and post-graduation, seek interview skill trainings and ask the interviewer, the person who is teaching, sir, can you tell me what answer should I give if they ask me what are your strengths? If after 15, 16, 17 years of education, I cannot talk about my strengths, my weakness, there's a question to me. There's a question to me. So I need to understand this, that have I become a person who is a problem talker and not a solution seeker? If you are a problem talker, you're getting into negativity zone. The hallmark of a negative person is he's always problem oriented. The hallmark of a positive person is he's always solution oriented. You go to a solution oriented person, he will try to figure out the solution. You go to a problem oriented person, he will find a problem in your solution. We need to understand what is our orientation. If you become solution oriented, you see opportunities everywhere. Let me move on to the next point very quickly without losing much time. Yes, collaborate. There is possibility to collaborate, collaboration, teamwork. Something, your friend is good in something else. Maybe you are good in teaching one subject. Maybe your friend is good in designing something. That's his idea. Okay. And maybe there's third friend who is good in marketing, who can talk well, who is good communicator. Why can't we 3 make a team and do something in this regard? We can very much do something in this regard if we make a team. There are people who are doing this. You have seen YouTube channels, how they are growing out of proportions, how they have grown so big. I know few of my friends who have created an online coaching center. Somebody is teaching math, somebody is teaching English, somebody is teaching Hindi, somebody is teaching science, and they all collaborate with a person, all combine, pool their money, give it for someone who knows e-marketing, pay to them, reduce their budget, it helps them, and create a brand out of it, and they are doing it. I know people who are among my friends, somebody sitting in Hyderabad teaching someone Hindi or Sanskrit or Telugu who is in UK or US. I know people who have started writing blogs when they were in their first year of graduation. Some of them even in their 10th class have started writing blogs. Who's stopping all of us to do this? Leverage technology and collaborate. This is the biggest opportunity for the youth. The kind of people, the kind of power this technology brings is unfathomable. Earlier generation could not have even think of it. For the throwaway price, what you get is unimaginable. Today, sitting here in Hyderabad, when the pandemic stuck, I knew that my work, my business is going to get hampered. We cannot take sessions as we used to take. But today, learning how to do online training, how to launch your online courses, I am teaching students, somebody from Singapore, somebody from Abu Dhabi, somebody from Oman, somebody from Mumbai, from Delhi. They are there in my batch and I'm teaching them Delhi. I have never done it earlier when I was doing it offline, but online I am able to do it. How? Collaboration, leveraging technology. Find out the person who can market, find out the person who can design. You do your job, create a team, win-win situation, start small. There is possibility. And you know what's the biggest opportunity for students? You have the time with you. That's your biggest opportunity. Youthful energy, healthy body, and the time to spare. Even if you start very small today, imagine in another 2 years, where can you go? Imagine if you could just start writing one blog every day on one consistent thing consistently. Why not a company will look for a person who can solve that one problem nicely? Don't become a journalist, who knows everything, jack of all, master of none. Jack of all may be fine, but in coming times, we need to be master of one. Your expertise will give you a good life. When you become jack of all, you become a Buradianas. You need to work very hard. Last, fourth thing, contribute. Very counterintuitive. You may think that if I contribute, how will I survive? I'll tell you, contribution mindset is the biggest opportunity for people today. Long back, I just made a video. How did I improve my English speaking? Because I come from a purely Hindi medium background and have never spoken in English before my MBBS first year. I just thought, because a lot of my students used to ask me, sir, aapne Angrezi kaise sikha? How did you learn? So let me make a video and give it on the YouTube. Why should I charge for this? And I just video. I try to contribute only from the point of view of contribution. I gave this so that people other than me, people like me who have come from a non-English medium background, may feel I did that. But you know what happened? When I tried to give, I got in return. Suddenly my channel zoomed. So many people liked it. And I get a lot of money with that. I didn't know this. I didn't do it with that intention. I'm not relied or I'm not dependent on my YouTube video income. But the point here is, do you have the ability to give first before you want to receive? Give and take is a law of universe. The big people think, before I give, only when I give, I will receive. But narrow-minded, fear-based thinking, stimulus-driven people, they think, no. First, I want guarantee. Sir, salary kitna doge? Batao mujhe. Imagine if companies ask, first you prove how much work you will do. Because at that front, we are not very good. My dear friend, please understand what industry wants and what we are able to do after a fresh coming out of our graduation. There's a lot of gap. We need to understand that only if I give first, I will be recipient. I will receive. Giving is in your hand. Receiving is not in your hand. It's important for you to become a person who is ready to have a mindset of giving. And giving doesn't mean giving money. You can give a helping hand. You can give compliments to few people. That's a leadership ability, by the way. Many people do not have this ability to compliment. People find it very difficult to praise somebody else because there is some insecurity inside, Only leaders, true leaders, can very frankly, freely appreciate people and make them feel good. You have that opportunity. Are you using that or not? That's up to you. Okay. Three mantras I just gave. Number one, working unsupervised. Number two, head to think, heart to feel, hands to work. Number three, a solution seeker mindset. What is working unsupervised? Let me again stop my presentation. So first one is ability to work unsupervised. There's this book called The Professional, or Only Professional, I think, by Subroto Bakchi. Subroto Bakchi is the person who's the co-founder of Mindtree, I think. Yes. Subroto Bakchi says a professional is one of the qualities of professional. He says a professional is one who can work unsupervised. My dear friends, I want to ask you, how many of you have this ability? How many of you can work in the same way whether somebody is watching or not? How many of you behave and remain same way whether your father is at home or not? How many of you think of going to college or office irrespective of there being a swiping machine? Because the people who are still stimulus driven, who are still having the mindset of a follower, they are always working because somebody is watching. I remember in my corporate world, I knew one person who joined the organization in his late 60s. After retirement, he has joined that as an RMO. And I saw how he was driven only because of there was a swiping machine. I was handling the entire, medical admin, RMOs and VMOs and all that. And they used to report me. I had my room, and in that room, they used to come, swipe, go, sign, and all that. This person used to come 9 o'clock was to be time. He used to come dot at 9, swipe, and then spend half an hour with me. He won't go to work. After that, he'll go for a coffee. 10 o'clock, he would start his rounds, whatever work he was assigned. His lunch would start 1 hour before and end 1 hour later. At 4 o'clock was the coffee time. 5 o'clock was the exit time. 4 o'clock, his coffee time becomes the exit time. 4 o'clock, he has coffee. After that, 4:30, he comes to my room. Again, speaks to me, or Modi ji, how was the day, this, that. At 4:55, he stands near the swiping machine. At 5 dot, he swipes and he disappears. It disappears. Probably by 5:15, he's at his home. Because in parking, he has already kept his car near the exit gate. He has made such arrangements. I used to think at late 60s, what makes a man do so? He's still an employee. He has not developed an employer's mindset. Even if you are in the job, if you do not have the maturity that I work because I want to, not because my boss is there, not because there is a swiping machine. Yes, work might be assigned by the organization, but once the work is assigned, do you have the mentality to own it and do it as if it was your work? Only then there is a true sense of freedom. Only then there is a leadership ability going to develop. So my friends, please look at this point. Can I work unsupervised? Now you are getting that maturity. Now you are going to come out of as a graduate very soon. Be your own person, be your own life. Don't do it to show off to the world, because that mentality will ever keep you an employee. It will never make you. When I say employee, I do not mean people who are in the job, they are all employee. It's a mindset I am talking. An employee works because there is an employer, but an employer works because he wants to work. And there's a different quality of life. I would like you to ask that. Please create your own mind. Follow that original thinking. Ask your why. Why do I want to work? And from there, you will get a light within. You will get that inspiration, which will keep you moving, which will not be dependent on some external quote and motivational video every time. Although that's not a bad thing. We need inspiration, and inspiration comes when we become original thinker, when we do something because we want to do, not because somebody has told us to do. Although in the given system, people will assign you work, but after work is assigned, we must show the maturity to own that up. We must belong to that work and do it as if it is my business and my work. That will make you. When I resigned from my first job to get an opportunity as a CEO in another organization, I asked my seniors, "Sir, would you like to give me an advice, because you are such an experienced background you have." My boss, the one Dr. Surinder Rao, he told me, "Vivek, only one advice: wherever you go and work as if it's your organization. You don't have to see back ever." And that helped me tremendously. So that's your opportunity. Yes. Swamiji's mantra, Swami Vivekanandaji's mantra: head to think, heart to feel, hands to work. We need all three. Head to think. Some of us may be strategic thinker, very intelligent. You may create strategies. You understand the problem. You can analyze. Head to think is there. But do you have heart to feel? If heart to feel is not there, what happens is loss of character, loss of integrity. In mind, something else. In heart, something else. What I think, something else. What I speak, something else. And what I do, something else. When there is no integration of that, we lose integrity. And when we lose integrity, we lose authenticity. Because authenticity comes not just by your expertise. Authenticity also comes by your ability to be in one line, in your thinking, in your speaking, and in your doing. So not just head to think, we need heart to feel. Swamiji Vivekananda gave the idea of servant leadership. He told, Daridra Devo Bhava, Murkha Devo Bhava, Rogi Devo Bhava. Sounds very idealistic to us, but trust me, if you could just adopt to that ideology, it makes for you very easy to work. It makes very easy for you to work selflessly. And selfless work doesn't mean you will not get career growth. Please understand, this is the difference. Selfless growth means you will free flow in your action without thinking of outcome, and that will give you ability to work perfectly on everything, irrespective of the result. And a person who can develop this ability, who can just work for work's sake, once designed a goal and then just go after that goal without thinking about outcome will be in my favor or not. If a person can develop that ability itself will bring glory to that person. We are driven by so narrow-minded thought process. Our fights are what? Whom will Salman Khan marry? Virat Kohli should have taken first batting or next batting. How she should have set the fielding. Who will win the election? These are our fights. We need to change the narrative. As youth of this country, we need to feel pain when Prime Minister of our country, or country of 134 or 38 crore now, feels happy when a small country like France gives us Rafale. And country with biggest producer of engineers feel happy. Oh, thank you, France, you gave us Rafale, the latest fighter plane. Should pinch the youth of this country actually. Why this small country is able to give us, and why we are all who has such a glorified past, who has such privileges to be in this land and still not able to produce it. And how can we feel happy just because some country could give us, taking a lot of money of our country? Don't you think youth of this country should feel so? But they are busy in something very trivial, being stimulus driven, being that next advertisement or next Facebook post or next Instagram post. Virat Kohli posts one Instagram post, he gets 50 lakh rupees. Do you get even 5 rupees for posting your Instagram? Are you doing it for the right purpose, or are you doing it just for the seeking gratification? See how many people liked. I'm not against these social media posts, but think how much money Mark Zuckerberg made from you in last 5 years and how much you made from him. Well, I have made quite a few using these tools effectively. But are you using Facebook? Are you using Instagram? Are you using your Twitter? Or are you being used by that? We are into an attention economy. Please understand. Grabbing your attention is the sole purpose of the topmost corporations in the world. Amazon is telling, look at me. Google is telling, look at me. Facebook is telling, look at me. That's why they are the richest, because they drive your attention. Yuval Noah Harari, one of the greatest philosophers in current times, he says human mind has become hackable. Please realize that the time will slip on very fast. Human life is not too long. This youthful time goes very fast. And before we realize, there may be repentance. So it's a time for the youth to realize the opportunities and take action. Heart to feel, and then the last thing, hands to work. The biggest motivator in the life is the action taken, not any word, not any motivation jargon. The biggest motivator is action taker. After listening to these talks or such events, when you attend, you might feel some inspiration, you might feel some positivity. But if you do not take action, when iron is hot, hit it. When the momentum is there, take action. If you do not take action, tomorrow you'll be in the same square one. And that's a life most people live, unfortunately. So take action, hands to work, not just talkers, but doers. That's what we need to do. Yes. So I think I'll just close with the last slide. If there is one word that you find coming out like a bombshell, the Upanishads bursting like a bombshell upon masses of ignorance, it is the word fearlessness. That's the message of Swamiji. In the end, before I say goodbye to you and take questions, let me tell you, if there has to be one mantra which you want, if you think this, sir, give us one formula, one mantra. Swami Vivekananda gave that one mantra. He wrote a book called Raj Yoga, and in that he mentions the mantra is following. Listen to it carefully. Take up one idea. Make that idea your life. Think of it. Dream of it. Let your brain, muscle, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. This is the mantra, success mantra Swamiji has given. So with that, I stop here. Thank you so much for being such a patient listeners. If you have any questions, I'll be able to take at least 2 or 3 questions, although I overshot a time a little bit, but it's okay. Till 11:50. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. In our midst, we have our director, Dr. N. Jandiala Murthy, sir. I now request sir to speak a few words.
Good morning, Vivek Modi ji.
Namaskar, sir. Good morning.
Namaskar, namaskar. I'm actually talking to you while sitting in the car. Sorry if there is some background noise. Though I caught up a few minutes later, than I missed the beginning, but I thoroughly enjoyed your, especially the part when you have explained about professionals. I truly believe in that, what we call that integrity part, that is manasa vacha karmana. What you think, what you say, and what you do have to be, with or without supervision, it should be exactly the same. Sir, when I was a kid, there was another definition I just want to add, that's all. Somebody told me what a professional is. He said, a professional is where the buck stops. Your depth of knowledge should be so high. If anybody comes with a question, he doesn't have to go anywhere else. You are the ultimate. So if a doctor is like that, why can't be an engineer? Because I belong to that profession. So as an engineer also, that solution we should be in a position to provide. And you have added that part of that nationalistic feeling. Yes, by the way, I am from the Air Force, sir. I served the Air Force for 25 years. It always pinches us saying that when you buy a Rafale or any other equipment from outside, why is that we are not in a position to produce that when we have such a brainy youth amongst us? Thank you very much, sir, for I'm sure it should whet their appetite and awaken them. And thank you very much for being with us this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Murthy sir. Thank
Namaskar.
you for your kind words. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. We'll now have the question answer session. I request all the students to post their questions in the chat box.
You could also raise your hand and I can permit one by one you to ask. We may do it
Yes,
for
sir.
another 10 minutes if there are any questions. And feel
Please
free to
ask
ask
your
in
questions
any,
one by
feel
one.
free to ask in any language, okay? In language which you are comfortable. I can understand a bit of Telugu. Hindi, of course, I can understand. Okay, there is hesitation, or maybe there are no questions. So if there are no questions, we'll leave here.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yes.
Just
Yeah,
give me a minute. There's a disturbance outside.
Gyaneshwar, you can speak. Others are muted now.
या सर आप जो बोले थे ना वो जो भी आप जब ग्रेजुएशन के बाद स्टूडेंट्स और जो इंडस्ट्री एमएनसी रहते हैं ना उसके बीच में जो गैप है ना वो कैसा फिल कर सकते हैं लाइक कैन यू गिव सम टिप्स फॉर दैट
Okay, good question, and it's a question which somebody who seeks action would ask. So I'm happy, Gyaneshwar, you asked this question. My first tip here is, see, there is no shortcut to certain things, okay? And industry requirements are also changing very fast. The way things are becoming obsolete, the pace of change has increased so much. So it really doesn't matter what, within few years, you have to learn something new. So number one is keeping this constant attitude that I have to keep upgrading myself. It is not limited to doctors and lawyers or CAs. It is also required now for every other profession. So number one, a learning attitude, quick learning attitude. Number two, my advice to all the youth who are in their third year and second year is, if you all are looking for a particular kind of expertise, please define it as soon as possible. Third year is a good time to take a call on what I want to do for next 3 or 4 years. You may not be able to design what you will do in next 10 years, but please decide in next 3 years where you want to see, whether you want to go into research, whether you want to go into academics, whether you want to go into administration, or you want to go into marketing, or you want to go into programming or something like that, some kind of technical work. Please decide that. The earlier you decide, the better you will be in the position to match your requirement or match your competencies to the requirement of the industries. Most people do not do it well because they always think, they find me option. That's the approach for them. Companies will come to my college or there will be job opening, and then I will give interviews to 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 companies, and then wherever they take me. My opinion is, please make it reverse. You choose your company as early as possible. Be ready for that company. It can happen only for a mind which knows what I need to do. And I've seen such students who have created such profile. It's called pre-interview phase. What kind of certification I will require, what kind of attitude I will require, what is the industry knowledge which I don't have. Can you name 10 companies which are good in your field? Most youth cannot, unfortunately, because it never occurs in their discussion. So please bring that discussion, create awareness about the real world outside, follow people who are in the industry, figure out what exactly they need, find out what matches to your competency, and try to build over next 1 year or 2 years over that. That will give you advantage over so many others. I call it you find them approach. Okay, they find you versus you find them. When you find them, you have the upper hand. You have already beaten the 80% who are just waiting for a call. You have taken your call only because you could figure out what exactly you want. The narrower you can go, the higher you can reach faster. So that's the trick. One more last tip is, please, if you do not get a job, don't for a day sit at home. Don't for a day say, I have applied for 10 interviews, now I am waiting for the call. Don't do that. 9 o'clock, get out of your home. Get to work. No, sir, nobody is giving me work. Go and work at any place, even if it is free of cost. But don't develop the habit of sitting at home and not being able to do something. That is again being dependent on the world. You must keep on taking your action. For 6 months, maybe I'm not getting a job, but for 6 months, I don't lose my experience. I go somewhere, work with hard work, and I prove my mettle. I learn something. That's a very important approach. Within 6 months, you will be ahead than many other people who may be academically ahead than you, but you have proven yourself as a person who wants to work, who means business. So please see that you do not waste a single day after your graduation. And I would suggest even during your graduation, what is stopping you to start something on your own on a very small level? Please collaborate and do. College is a great time. College time is a great time to do all these things, to experiment, to learn. Some of the greatest startups in the world have started during college times, of the students. So get inspired by that. Get your company right. Leave all those friends who tell you about negativity, who tell you, "Arey, you will not get job," who pull you down, who give you ideas which are, repetitive ideas, which are only conformist thought process. So those are few ideas I could think. Uh, I'm sorry the answer was not very specific, but I hope you get the point.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Uh, this is Prashant Sharma. I too have a doubt, sir.
Tell me, Prashant.
Yeah, sir. I initially believe we all are part of a cycle where people are dependent on us. We are dependent on like our parents and people around us. And then I was listening very carefully when you talked about that we need to focus on our orientation and character. So, sir, we take the inspiration and we try to move out of that cycle. We break that cycle. So, in that process, people start to be dependent on us. So, we can't opt for a path where we are just defining our life, because we have to take care for people which are connected to us. So, sir, in that scenario, what should be our mindset, sir? How should we basically follow that path?
Yes,
Where
good
we
question.
have to be in time? Yeah.
I get your question. And this is a very genuine question for many people who may not have very good backup systems. See, the key here is to start as early as possible and start even as small as possible. Doesn't matter how small it is. Okay, there are so many examples where people have started little bit of earning from very early age. Who stops me to take 1 or 2 hours of tuitions for a 10th or 12th class student? Nobody stops me. Okay, why can't I sacrifice my 2 hours of social media time and do something that and build some capital for my future thing? See, I'm not just lecturing this. I have done this. After 6 years of corporate job, I take a quick call and I have started doing this. Now I could do this because I have built the competence to survive. Okay. I have become a doctor and I knew I can survive. I have made a plan. So what you can do is, before don't take a risk which you cannot handle. Okay. Warren Buffett, the great investor, he says, risk comes when you do what you don't know. I repeat, risk comes when you do what you don't know. I'm not telling all of you to become a reckless risk taker. Take a risk which you can digest, even if you fail. And don't worry if you fail, because you take only that much risk which will give you a chance to bounce back. And keep doing it. The more you do it, your exposure will improve, your decision making ability will improve, and you will realize what works and what doesn't work. There are certain things which only experience can teach. But the point is, are you ready to take that experience, or you are playing too safe? Your mentality is so safe that you don't even want to venture into the game. If you don't go and play a game, you will never lose the game, right? But you never stand a chance to win the game. So my point is here: start playing, start giving something to yourself. Okay, start making. Even if you make 100 rupee per day, 50 rupee per day, what is stopping you? This is the time as a student to do that, and many people have done that. We cannot give excuses. Where was Abdul Kalam born? In a small town called Rameshwaram. What was his father? A boatman, a person who was working in masjid for some time. Not very highly educated person. His family was not extremely rich. Which kind of schools did he go? He didn't go to highly, very fine convent schools. He went to local language Tamil medium schools. Okay. He was not a 6 feet 2 inch tall, handsome, fair, very handsome looking guy. Even that was not. Why I'm making this point is, these are the attributes people think are required for success. That I need to be in a metropolitan city, my parents need to be educated and very rich, I need to go into very nice schools, and I need to look very good in the conventional way of what people say. Yes, nothing of that was there in Abdul Kalam ji. Now tell me, what did he not achieve in this country? From being one of the very competent scientists who played a very important role in our missile program, from being a poet, a great teacher, who became a president and who became a Bharat Ratna, and above all, an inspiration for millions of youth. You know why? Because he did not believe in the limitation of the resources. He was resourceful from within. Whatever was there, he always was thankful that God has given me these 8,600 crore neurons, this human body, which is the greatest tool in the world. Let me use it and make it work. And that's how slowly he grew. And he had his shares of failures. It's not that he was successful at a go. It's not that he was extraordinarily talented with IQ 160. No, he was not such person. He wanted to become a fighter pilot. Yes, couldn't become. He was disappointed for some time, but he thought, okay, if I'll not fly it, I'll make it. He became aeronautical engineer. Didn't stop. So the point here is, please see that you look at your strengths most. You may have your weaknesses, but don't stare at your weaknesses. Have a look at your weaknesses and stare at your strengths. It will give you positivity to take action. There should be no reason to stop taking action. That's a mantra. Take action. Okay. Yes, planned action. Take help of your teachers. Take help of people who know. And in today's world, knowledge is no dearth of knowledge. There is, in fact, too much of knowledge. So handle that well. And I'm sure within time, only challenge could be when the resources are less. What others will do in 1 year, you may need 3 years. Fine, no, at least start now. You can build it, no? When I'm having a job, I cannot leave my job. I want to start my own something. I have an idea. What stops me to work 4 hours extra for next 1 year to create some backup so that I can to take that plunge? That is required. So that's my view on this. Thank you so much. I think we can stop here. It's 11:10. I have some other sessions at 11:30, so I need the time. Thank you so much, all of you. Hopefully,
Thank you so much, sir.
I just wanted to make one thing that there are programs in Ramakrishna Math Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, programs like I Become, truly 21st century way of learning. Okay, it tells the youth about the personality they need to develop. See, there is a saying: you don't get what you want, you get what you are. Okay, unless I get the personality of a successful person, I cannot be successful just by reading about success. So there is a wonderful program called I Become, and there are many other such programs. They are all designed by Illumine Knowledge Resources, very highly qualified IT professionals, all IITians, IIM people, fully devoted their life for Swamiji's work. They have created this curriculum and use of technology and the highest standards of teaching. In fact, we are trained to deliver that course. It's not that anybody can teach that course. So I invite your college and all the students to get in connection with VIE Chiefs, with Swami Bodhayanandaji, and explore these opportunities for your college. I'm sure they are going to make a huge difference in the students here. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. It's my immense pleasure to take this opportunity to be delivering the vote of thanks. On behalf of the management and staff, I extend my hearty gratitude to Dr. Vivek Modi, sir, for his very thought provoking and interesting address. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us, sir. I would also like to give my vote of thanks to our director, Dr. N. Jandyala Murthy, sir, Dr. J. Sridevi, ma'am, the HOD of EEE department, and Mr. Vinay Kumar, sir, IST coordinator, for their tremendous support in making the seminar a great success. Finally, I further thank my IST team for their support towards organizing this event and also to all the students who have turned up in such great number. Thank you once again to all of you.
Namaskar. Thank you so much.